In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NFL games happening on December 28, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Seattle Seahawks versus Carolina Panthers. Seattle and Carolina feel like they are living very different versions of the same season. The top 3 teams in the NFC West are already locked into playoff spots, and Seattle at 12-3 is chasing the top seed in the conference and that precious first-round bye. They are coming off that wild overtime win against the Rams, 38-37, where they climbed out of a 16-point hole in the fourth quarter, which tells you a lot about this team's resilience and maybe their flair for chaos too. Now they head to Charlotte, going for a 7th road victory in 8 tries, which is no small thing over a whole year's worth of travel and early kickoffs. Carolina at 8-7 just nudged ahead of Tampa Bay in the NFC South thanks to that 23-20 upset as a 3-point home underdog last Sunday. They have been very good at responding after a loss, sitting at 6-1 in that spot this season, and they are 5-1 against the spread as home dogs. Although it is worth noting that 3 of those opponents are not playoff bound. Defensively, the Panthers have given up exactly 20 points in 3 of the last 4 games and have surrendered a pair of touchdowns 3 times during that stretch, which kind of fits their bend but not quite break profile. They tend to beat up on weaker teams, going 5-3 against opponents with losing records, but against winning teams they slide to 2-4, which is where this matchup lands. Bryce Young lit up Atlanta for 448 yards back in that overtime win in Week 11, but since then he has cooled off in a big way, not breaking the 206-yard mark in any of his last 4 games. Seattle's pass defense on the road has been quietly stingy, allowing more than 203 passing yards only twice in 7 road contests, which fits nicely against a passing game that has hit a wall. That type of mismatch can feel subtle at first glance, but over 4 quarters it usually shows up on third downs and in red zone execution. Seattle has also been reliable at the betting window when they are expected to take care of business. They are 4-1 against the spread as a road favorite, with the lone non-cover coming at Tennessee as 13-point chalk in a 30-24 win. They have good memories in Charlotte too, winning 30-24 the last time they visited in 2019, and they beat Carolina again in 2023, 37-27, in a game started by Andy Dalton and Geno Smith. One recurring issue for Carolina shows up after wins. In their last 5 games following a victory, they have scored 13, 9, 17, 9, and 17 points, going 1-4 in those spots. Here is the thing: Seattle has a better overall record, has been close to flawless away from home, and has more road wins than Carolina has home wins. They have been red hot, winning 9 of their last 10 and going 6-3 against the spread across their last 9, while the Panthers have bounced between good and bad as their offense fights to build any consistent rhythm. Seattle grades as a top 3 team on both offense and defense this season with a plus 10.9 point differential, and they are facing what is described as the league's 4th worst offense in Carolina. The Seahawks come in on a 5-game winning streak, while the Panthers have split their last 6. Seattle holds the edge because they roll out one of the better offenses in the league, with a strong passing game and a solid ground game working together. Carolina can defend the run, but their pass defense has slipped in recent weeks as injuries in the secondary pile up, so it makes sense to expect those issues to linger and for Darnold to go after that group. On top of that, Carolina's offense is pretty one-dimensional right now, leaning on a good rushing attack and one of the weakest passing games in the league. Seattle does not have to be overly worried about getting beaten over the top, which lets them crowd the line of scrimmage, load the box, and focus on slowing that ground game. Put all of this together, and the cleaner path is still on the Seattle side, trusting their balance, recent form, and road performance to carry the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Seattle Seahawks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Seattle averages 29.5 points per game and throws the ball 51% of the time with what is labeled as the 6th-ranked passing attack in the league. They are up against a defense that sits 16th against the pass and allows 22.5 points per game. Carolina averages 19.1 points per game, throwing it 54% of the time with the 26th ranked passing game, and the Panthers will face a defense that ranks 14th against the pass and gives up 18.6 points per game. From a totals angle, Seattle has been funny to track. They have alternated over and under results in 7 straight games, coming off an easy over in that 38-37 Rams win on a total of 42. Before that shootout, they had allowed 25 points in each of the previous 3 games. Then Los Angeles put up 23 points in the first 3 quarters last week. Seattle has not cashed back-to-back overs since weeks 9 and 10, when those 2 games combined for 82 points. In between, their offense has swung from quiet to explosive, scoring just 1 touchdown across home wins over the Colts and Vikings, then punching in 4 touchdowns against the Rams a week ago. Carolina has leaned the other way. The Panthers are on a 5-2 under stretch in their last 7 outings, while giving up exactly 20 points to both the Saints and Buccaneers in the past 2 weeks. Before that 23-20 win over Tampa Bay, they had allowed at least 27 points in 3 of their previous 4 home games, which shows how fragile their defensive numbers can be when facing better attacks. Offensively, they have been unreliable after wins, averaging 11 points per game in their last 5 chances in that situation, and they have only managed to score more than 20 points in back-to-back games twice. Carolina is also giving up 28.1 points per game to teams with winning records, which tends to drag games upward unless the offense sputters badly. Seattle's defense is sitting second in the league in points allowed at 18.6 per game, which is noted as a 3-point improvement from last season. Carolina, on the other hand, is trying to fix a run defense that ranks last in the league, surrendering 179.8 rushing yards per game. The small twist is that Seattle owns the 5th worst rushing offense at 95.7 yards per contest, so the natural question is whether they simply stick with the air attack that is already a strength. Given Seattle's streaky totals pattern, that eye-catching high-scoring Rams game, and Carolina's ongoing offensive struggles after wins, there is a logical case for this matchup turning tighter and less explosive on the scoreboard. All signs in the write-up lean toward expecting fewer points rather than another shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Arizona Cardinals versus Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati put together a very clean effort in that win over the Dolphins last weekend, and it showed up in pretty much every key box score line. They rolled to 407 total yards with 23 first downs, went 6 of 12 on third downs, and crucially did not turn the ball over. On the other side, the Bengals defense gave up only 19 first downs, held Miami to 2 of 10 on third downs, and grabbed 3 takeaways. For a team that had just been shut out by the Ravens in Week 15, that kind of bounce back is exactly what you want to see, and they have now scored 32 or more points in 3 of their last 4 games. Arizona comes in from a very different place. Against the Falcons, the Cardinals managed 320 yards, 16 first downs, and a solid 7 of 13 on third downs, but still lost by 1 touchdown. Their defense did come up with a couple of takeaways, yet they allowed 24 first downs and spent 35 minutes and 34 seconds on the field, which usually catches up with you late. On top of that, Arizona has not cracked 20 points in 4 straight games, and all 4 have been losses, which is not exactly encouraging for a team that has to travel. The broader picture is rough for the Cardinals. They started 2-0, then fell apart in the later stages of the season and have dropped 6 straight, managing just 1 additional win in that whole stretch. They are 1-5 in their last 6 road games, which hints at the same pattern, some early competitiveness that fades when they leave home. Cincinnati, by contrast, has clearly picked up since Joe Burrow returned last month. They crushed the Dolphins 45-21 last week and now sit with a 3-2 record in games he has started in this recent run. That is not perfect, but it is a lot better than where they were. The matchup itself leans toward the Bengals as well. Arizona's defense has been picked apart, especially through the air, and their pass defense is sitting 21st in the league. Burrow just threw for 309 yards last week and is set up nicely to go after that vulnerable secondary again. At the same time, the Cardinals are simply not putting up enough points to keep pace. They have averaged 19 points across their last 5 games, which is not the profile of a team that can consistently match an opponent that is regularly getting into the 30s. Cincinnati's defense has at least shown some late-season improvement. They have given up a total of 45 points in their last 2 games, which is a step forward from earlier leaks. Their last 2 wins have each come by more than 20 points, which shows they are not just edging teams out, they are stretching the margin when they get control. When you string all of that together, recent offensive surges, a defense that is stabilizing, and an opponent that cannot break out of its slump, it is very logical to lean toward Cincinnati both winning and covering as the favorite. As our first pick for this matchup, the Cincinnati Bengals to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. With Brissett at quarterback, the Cardinals have a genuinely dangerous passing attack, averaging 235 passing yards per game, which puts them 9th in the league. That kind of volume usually leads to big days when it runs into a soft spot, and here they face a Bengals pass defense that sits 28th, which is exactly the sort of matchup their staff will want to lean into. Cincinnati brings plenty of scoring fuel as well. They have averaged 26.2 points over their last 5 games, including 32 against the Ravens and 45 in that win over the Dolphins. Meanwhile, the Cardinals' defense has not been able to slow opponents for any extended stretch, giving up an average of 33 points in their last 5 games. It is not surprising that the over is a convincing 7-3 in Arizona's last 10, because those numbers almost force games into higher totals. Even though this specific matchup does not carry huge stakes in the standings, it still stands out because it sits as the highest total on the Week 17 board. There is a very fair chance we see 54 points or more in Cincinnati if these trends hold. The Cardinals are allowing 27.6 points per game, which ranks 29th, along with 4.5 yards per carry, tied for 25th, and 6.8 yards per pass attempt, tied for 22nd, while sitting 24th in red zone defense. During their current 7-game losing streak, they have allowed 41 or more points 4 different times and are surrendering 34.7 points per game. They even allowed Kirk Cousins to hang 26 on them at home, which tells you how wide the door has been left open for competent quarterbacks. As rough as that sounds for Arizona, Cincinnati's defense has its own issues in this context. They are allowing a league-worst 33 points per game at home and have held opponents to 24 points or fewer only 3 times all season. So while the Cardinals have lost 7 straight, it has not been for lack of effort on offense. Jacoby Brissett has been extremely friendly to overbackers, with a personal mark of 28-18 to the over in games he has started since 2019, which is the second best such run in the league, with only Dak Prescott ahead of him. On top of that, the over is a combined 18-12 in these teams' 30 total games this season, and both clubs have seen at least 54 points in 2 of their last 3 contests. When you put all of that together, it becomes very hard to make a case for either defense consistently getting stops this Sunday, and the game script points strongly toward another high-scoring affair. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Giants versus Las Vegas Raiders. This late afternoon matchup between the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders might be ugly football, but it quietly carries big weight for the race to the #1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Both teams are riding 9-game losing streaks, and it is the first time in the Super Bowl era that 2 teams on skids that long have run into each other. So, yes, it is bad, but it is also weirdly fascinating. From a side perspective, I do think Las Vegas has the slight edge here. They are coming off a 23-21 road loss to the Houston Texans, where they actually looked functional for stretches, which is more than you can say for a lot of their season. Rookie running back Ashton Jeanty had his best game of the year in that one, and this sets him up nicely against a Giants run defense that is allowing 5.5 yards per carry, which is dead last in the league. If the Raiders are going to look like a professional offense, this is the type of matchup where it happens. On the Giants side, it is hard to spin last week's 16-13 home loss to the Minnesota Vikings as anything positive. Minnesota had backup quarterback Max Brosner in for the second half, and New York still failed to score an offensive touchdown. Rookie quarterback Jackson Dart did not complete a pass until the second quarter and finished only 7 of 13 for 33 total passing yards. He has had a few good outings, sure, but he has been held under 200 passing yards in 6 of his 10 starts, and his only win came all the way back in Week 4. You can almost feel that it might actually help Dart and the Giants long-term if they lose here and head into the 2026-2027 season with more support around him. One huge variable is the health of left tackle Andrew Thomas. He exited the Vikings game and did not return. When he is out, the Giants historically fall apart. Over the last 2 seasons, they are 1-12 without him. Stretch that back 4 seasons and it gets uglier at 3-18. That is not noise, that is a pattern. Then there is the scheduling spot. Teams that play on the East Coast the week before heading to Mountain or Pacific time in December are just 52-72 since 2019. When those teams have a losing record, it drops to 17-41, so the spot leans against New York too. There is also some recent scar tissue for the Giants. They pulled out a win against the Patriots 2 seasons ago with draft position in play, which helped New England land the number 3 pick and quarterback Drake May. It is not crazy to think that the building still remembers that outcome and is less eager to repeat that kind of meaningless win. And if neither team is truly motivated to chase a win, then I would rather lean toward the one that just looked competent versus a playoff hopeful and has a clear matchup edge on the ground. The Giants have been tough to trust away from home and their run defense is soft, which is a bad mix here. As our first pick for this matchup, the Las Vegas Raiders money line is our full game side pick. Las Vegas is at the bottom of the league in scoring at only 14.5 points per game. New York is not lighting it up either, averaging 20.9 points per game, which sits 23rd. Historically, this matchup has also leaned under, with the total staying under in 5 of the last 6 Giants road games against the Raiders and in 7 of the last 10 meetings overall between these two. On top of that, both offenses are missing their main sparks. The Giants' offense looked completely lifeless last week, stumbling to just 13 points. Jackson Dart clearly feels like he is hitting a rookie wall while working behind a backup offensive line, and you could see how limited the passing game was against Minnesota. Across the field, the Raiders are without their leading receiver, Bowers, which strips away their best explosive option in the passing game. Their quarterback has already turned the ball over 15 times this year, so it is not like you can project a smooth, efficient performance. Both teams sit in the bottom 5 in red zone efficiency, which is a polite way of saying long drives often stall out and end in field goals or nothing at all. When you add that to 2 conservative, struggling offenses, it is hard to build a case for this turning into a shootout that flies into the 40s. Honestly, it feels more like one of those games where the ball moves between the 20-yard lines, people get tackled short of the sticks, and fans at home keep checking the live total and shrugging. These are 2 offenses I simply do not trust right now. I do not see that changing overnight, especially when a win might actually hurt both teams in terms of draft position. That sort of context does not usually breed aggression or creativity on offense. So I am expecting a choppy, low-scoring matchup with more empty possessions than highlights. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Philadelphia Eagles versus Buffalo Bills. Philadelphia walks into this one with a 10-5 record, already holding the NFC East after that 29-18 win at Washington last Saturday. They snapped out of that ugly 3-game skid and have now strung together 2 straight double-digit wins, even if those came against the Commanders and the Raiders, who are both headed for the couch in January. Now they go on the road to Buffalo, chasing a 6th road win, and for the first time since last season's Super Bowl, they are actually sitting in the underdog chair. On the other side, Buffalo is 11-4 and still very much a problem for anyone thinking about the AFC playoff picture. They might miss a 6th straight division crown, but they have shown they travel well into the postseason conversation. They are back home after rallying to stun New England 2 weeks ago and then hanging on against Cleveland last Sunday to push their winning streak to 4 games. Last week's game against the Browns was a bit of a sweat for anyone holding a ticket. Buffalo was laying 10.5 on the road, went up 23-10 in the 3rd quarter, then allowed Cleveland to score the final 10 points and sneak in the back door. There is an interesting pattern with Buffalo against the spread since Week 6. They have not gone back-to-back weeks without a cover, and in the specific situation of coming off a non-cover, they are 4-0 against the spread. It is a small, quirky trend, but it does show they usually steady the ship when the market drifts a bit away from them. Defensively, Philadelphia had that slip in Week 6 when the Giants dropped 34 on them, but since then they have quietly tightened up. They have not allowed more than 24 points in 9 straight games, which is a solid stretch for a team that was labeled shaky on that side of the ball early in the year. Buffalo, in contrast, has been more volatile. The Bills have given up at least 30 points in 4 of their last 6, including 32 to the Buccaneers and 34 to the Bengals. So you are dealing with a favorite that can score in bunches but can also let opponents hang around. Buffalo has done well in this price range so far, winning both times they were favored by 3 points or fewer. This number still feels short against a Philadelphia team that has already clinched its division and might appear safe to some bettors. Here is the thing though, clinching the division does not mean the Eagles are content to coast, and their recent defensive form plus their ability to travel and win on the road make them very live with points in their pocket. Given their balance and the fact that Buffalo's defense can spring leaks, the underdog has a very real chance to keep this one close and possibly make it another one-score finish. So with that context, taking Philadelphia with the spread as a road underdog makes a lot of sense. As our first pick for this matchup, the Philadelphia Eagles to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Philadelphia is averaging 23.3 points per game, with 197.9 passing yards and 121.7 rushing yards per game. They are allowing 19.3 points per game on defense this season, which lines up nicely with that recent stretch of holding teams under 25. Buffalo, meanwhile, has been putting up 28.9 points per game. They are slightly ahead through the air at 214.2 passing yards per game and significantly more productive on the ground with 158.9 rushing yards per game. Defensively, they are giving up 22.9 points per game. On paper, those offensive averages might nudge some people toward expecting fireworks, especially seeing Buffalo close to 29 points per outing. But the broader context pulls things back a bit. Philadelphia's defense has settled into a groove, and a unit that consistently keeps opponents in the teens or low 20s tends to drag totals down. Buffalo's defense, for all its recent high-scoring lapses, still has stretches where it clamps down, and the raw points allowed average suggests that the blow-ups are offset by plenty of quieter days. Let me explain how that shapes the total. When one team regularly sits around the low 20s on both sides of the ball, and the other hovers in the high 20s on offense but low 20s allowed on defense, you often land in that middle ground where the combined score feels more capped than explosive. Throw in the fact that Philadelphia's clinch status can lean them toward a slightly more measured, run-heavy approach, and Buffalo can match that with their own strong ground game, and you get a game script that chews clock. Sustained drives, plenty of rushing attempts, and red zone possessions that might end in field goals rather than touchdowns all work against a higher total. Honestly, even if there are a few big plays, the overall profile here leans toward a final number that stays below the projected total rather than popping into a shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.